Hi, this is the Good News Show, and we're broadcasting today via the public access station, the Community Voice Channel in Bolton, Connecticut. The Good News Show airs twice a week, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Fridays at noon. All the shows are also available anytime on demand at Comcast Channel 1070, with a new show planned every month. I'm Ann Bonnie, your co-host today. Our producer and co-host is Monique Lucier. Monique.
Hello.
Thank you. Melanie Merkel is our Community Outreach and Training Manager, and Nick Levine is Executive Director of the Community Voice Channel. Our special guest today is Chris Luginbuhl, founder of Become Part of the Solution. Chris, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here. Very grateful.
Great. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about what Become Part of the Solution is?
Yes, Become Part of the Solution, we call it BPS, is a part of Union Church in Rockville. It's a separate trust that 100% of what we raise helps people get into treatment for the disease of alcoholism and addiction. We also do a lot when people come out of treatment. A lot of times, the treatment centers will give you the tools, but then you need a safe place to go. A lot of times people don't have that safe place. So we provide funds for men and women sober housing. We do a lot of that. And BPS started with myself and another person in recovery in 1991. I partnered up with a drug and alcohol counselor at Rockville Hospital who was having a hard time getting people into treatment. And he came to me at the time to see if I could help because he was having a hard time raising funds, and the insurance companies, they weren't coming through the way, we wanted them to. And he was very upset because there was one guy that he thought he lost and he may have died. So the drug counselor, his name was Smokey, he came to me. And so that's kind of how it started. It's not like I have a lot of money at the time. I was actually losing my real estate investments back then, but I knew quite a few people. So I was fortunate that when I call it a God incidence, I walked out of Smokey's office and I kept thinking about one person. And I'm going up the road, and there he is right in front of me. And that was the beginning of Become Part of the Solution. And we're talking a great deal of fun to get started. So I always felt it was divine and it was meant to be. And it's certainly been a blessing in my own recovery. It'll be 42 years this year, God willing, since my last drink.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
And I used to work at Manchester Hospital where Smokey Orcutt also worked there, and Rockville Hospital. I remember him very well. He made quite a lot of good changes in the community and helped a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad that he was part of the genesis of this.
Oh, yeah, he was. He's the one that kind of planted the seed, and then everything just seemed to move ahead. So for the last 30 years now, we've been fortunate to, if there's a need and people really want help, we don't want to be the enablers either. There's got to be a degree of willingness because we know that we can't push people into it. They have to show us that they're interested. But if they are interested, we want to give them a hand up. And so we've been fortunate to get a number of people in treatment over the years.
Do you work with other organizations to help people get into the treatment or into safe homes after treatment?
No, it's a combination of many different situations. I get a lot of referrals from people in the 12-step groups. They'll see somebody come into the program and they're really trying hard. So they'll contact me. And if there's any way I can help them out, that's what I do. And sometimes I'll hear from the owners of some of the sober houses. And they'll tell me they've got somebody that's really trying. They haven't gotten a job yet. Can you help them? And so I've had a lot of success with many sober houses throughout the state of Connecticut, as well as a lot of treatment centers. I also work with groups like CCAR, which is an advocacy group for the alcoholic and addict. And they've done an incredible job over the years helping people. I work a lot, with them over the years. Treatment centers like High Watch in Kent, Connecticut, we've done a lot with them. Rushford, Farrell House, Lebanon Pines, Stonington Institute, and a lot of these companies. And sometimes I'll talk to the counselor, and then I'll also talk to the person that is looking for help. I want to get a feel for what is their desire, and a lot of times though, when they come as referrals like this, it's good because people have already talked to them, and they wouldn't be coming to me unless they thought that there was a degree of willingness,
And what is the average length of time of stay when someone enters into a safe home?
Well, a lot of times it's like 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
We've had people that have been in sober houses for over a year.
No.
It takes what it takes as long as they are doing the right things,
Right.
The important thing is that the sober houses have accountability. We want them to have mandatory meetings, house meetings. We want them to look for work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's people there that have been in the houses for a while that are trying to help one another stay sober. They also help each other get to meetings. We do work with sober houses in Enfield as well. So there's quite a few of them throughout the state that we're working with. And when we first started BPS, it was mostly the treatment centers. It was the more of the larger amounts of money, anywhere from like 3,000 to like 10. Now it's mostly the smaller amounts of money, but more people. In other words, we need the money for the first month's rent or security. This is where we can step in. Or the families come up with a certain amount. Can you help with a balance? Things along like that.
And is it equally men and women, or a greater percent one or the other?
Well, I would say probably there's more men.
Okay.
However, there's not a shortage of women either that have reached out over the years. Matter of fact, there are people in recovery that own these houses, that own several of them, that have actually been able to get people in recovery themselves to manage these houses. So
I'm really glad to hear that, because I spoke with an old friend from high school a few months ago who's living in a recovery house and doing counseling, but also a resident there. And I said to him, is this someplace you can stay for the rest of your life? And he kind of went, oh. And then he said, yes, I guess I could, because it's good for him. It's a really good place for him. And I'm glad he has that option.
Oh yeah. It's good. Like I said, it's just such a blessing for me. I can't tell you how grateful I am to these people, all the volunteers. So we also have events now. We have music events. A lot of people in recovery, they love to play music and they want to give back. There's different groups that helped. One is called Selfish Esteem. They've been around for many years. Eastview Drive in Vernon. There's a man that his name is the Rev. He's from down in Norwich, New London area. There's just been a lot of people that have volunteered, people in recovery that want to give back. We've had a lot of cooperation with places like the Elks, where they've made their clubhouse available, the carriage house, to help us put on music events.
Nice.
Just been really good.
Now, Chris, I personally know that you're a fantastic photographer. I've seen a lot of your pictures, so beautiful. And I also know that you make a great calendar and you sell those proceeds for your solution. Are there other areas of income that you do? Obviously the shows, the calendar. And are you doing this as a one-man show or do you have like a team working with you?
Well, I've done a lot of this on my own, but I know I have volunteers that I know I can call on,
Okay.
help, and they're there. A lot of them are in recovery. So if I need someone to help with the, say, the music events, I can make a half a dozen calls and get several people that
Great.
joyously want to give back,
Nice.
you know?
Yeah.
The other thing too that's been such a blessing is that there's a lot of angels out here in this area that, you know, they're not interested. They don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing.
Right.
And they're giving unconditionally. They have extra. And I've been so blessed that I can call these people and they want to give because
Nice.
they know that 100% is going to that individual in need. It's
Right.
not going, you know, Union Church took a leap of faith. You know, it's incredible what they've done. You know, when people want to donate, I just basically have them send in a check or whatever, and I just have them send it to BPS, which has become part of the solution, in care of Union Church, 3 Elm Street, Rockville. They put it in a separate account. The treasurer of the church manages all the funds. So whatever comes in, we know is in the separate account. And when I hear from a sober house or a person that wants help, what's really makes it real easy and simple for me is I'll talk to the people. I'll get their name. I need their name as a sponsor who we're sponsoring. And then I'll just contact the treasurer of Union Church and I'll say, okay, send out a certain amount to that sober house.
Yeah.
And we never send it to the people. It always goes to the sober houses.
Right.
No, I learned a lesson
Nice.
the hard way on that. You don't do that, but you give, you know, always give to the sober houses.
And Chris, I appreciate that you gave the contact of Union Church and where the office is located. Could you also give us your website so if people want to get more information, they can go to that?
Yes, it's www.bpsrockville.com.
BPS, be part of the solution. So BPS.
That's what it stands for, become part of the solution. So it's bpsrockville.com. And there's a lot of information in there, a way of reaching myself. If they care to donate, they can go to the church and they can also make a contribution just by clicking into become part of the solution also. And we're also selling, of course, our calendars.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I love your calendar.
And
I have one.
Chris, are there limits to what, to the people that you can take? I don't mean in terms of numbers. I'm sure there are limits in terms of numbers, but for instance, if someone's under 18, can you still serve them? Or are there any limits, or is there a geographic area that you serve?
You know, we've been really at this point, we've been reaching out, people hear about us all over the state. So we're sponsoring people as far as, say, Sharon, Connecticut, Bridgeport, New Haven, Norwich. We've done a lot, of course, around here in Rockville, Ellington, Vernon, Manchester area, because a lot of more people know of us. But a lot of times, and it's all dependent on funds as well. But again, we've been so blessed, you know, and it's strictly volunteer. There's no one gets anything here. And again, it's just been a blessing for me. You know what I mean?
Do you have any plans for the organization in the future? Anything different? And is there anything that's like a challenge or gets you down, or is everything pretty upbeat? I mean, do you get someone maybe in a house that doesn't work out and that's kind of hard? You know, how does that work?
We do the best we can. We know there's no guarantees. You know, we've helped other people more than once if they're staying sober, if they're doing the right thing. And a lot of times we'll talk to their counselor or their sponsor to just get a degree of what they're doing. You know,
Mhm.
if they're trying, we can't continually fund the same person constantly because we
Right.
won't have enough to help someone else coming down the road,
Yeah.
you know, but we do the best we can. As far as ages are concerned, if someone came to us and they were younger than 18 and they wanted help, we sure would definitely help. You know, we want to be there for people, no matter what age. If they want help and they've got the willingness,
Mhm.
we want to be there for them. And I say that because people were there for me. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I thank God every day. If they weren't there for me, I wouldn't be on this show. So I want to reach out to anybody that's listening. You know, please, if you know anybody that wants help, please go to our website. If there's any way I can help or make suggestions as to who they might want to reach, you know, a lot of times it's maybe not necessarily about inpatient treatment or sober houses. It's a person that's coming that wants to get started and wants to get work, wants to really work a program.
Right.
And I know people that are very enthusiastic about bringing newcomers to meetings. And this is kind of a ministry for them. They're out there constantly. There's people doing so much more, I believe, even a lot more than even myself, that are constantly helping people in meetings. And recovery has led me to mostly raising funds or getting involved with people initially in hospitals and so forth. But there's a lot of people out there that want to help.
Chris, could you give us, without revealing any confidential information, can you give us kind of a success story of maybe just one person that you can tell us what their journey was like and how they're doing?
Oh yeah, the one in particular I'm thinking about. I met at a meeting up in Stafford, and he every once in a while I'd see him, and I knew there was interest in doing something. And all of a sudden, the day came that he called, and I was negotiating with a company called High Watch in Connecticut. It's the oldest treatment center in the world, and I had a deal going with them for every 3 people I would get to go to High Watch, and of course it's $10,000 per person. They would give a free bed, and it just so happened that the person called me, okay, the day of the free bed. Never forget it. And so I met him. I got him into High Watch. It was a miracle because I had that free bed, and we got him into High Watch, and he was there for 30 days. And we were fortunate to get him into a really great sober house over in Enfield. He was there for a year. He then got his own place. He met a wonderful person. He's now married. He's living in Florida. He's had physical problems, but his primary purpose has been to stay sober. And this man was down the road for many, many years. And I'm hoping to visit him sometime soon in Florida. You know,
Nice.
there's many people that we've been involved with over the years.
First, I'd like to say first, obviously, you know, how I admire what you're doing in the program. So wonderful. And also, during these kind of odd times with the pandemic, have you seen a rise in cases? Maybe people are home more, they have more time. Are they, you know, maybe drinking more and then coming to the programs, or has there been no change?
Well, I think maybe it's a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because not this year, but the year before, we sponsored, I believe there was about 45 people. And then
Wow.
this past year, it was 60.
Wow.
So I could say there's been an increase there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you never know. Sometimes it won't go for a couple weeks. And then sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 people in 1 week.
Right.
Sometimes 3 people in a day,
Yeah.
you know? So you just don't know when things are gonna come up, you know?
Yeah.
I would say too that, this addiction, it's basically a disease that tells people they don't have a disease. So they're constantly trying to rationalize the right to drink, A lot
Yeah.
of people out there, like I was for years.
Huh.
I was always saying, well, how could I have a problem? I worked every day, or, I only
Yeah.
drink beer. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
never be as bad. Always trying to compare myself with others. But once the alcohol got in my system, the drink picked up the next drink. I
Yeah.
no longer was in control. And I was one of those alcoholics that would reward myself on weekends. Oh, I did great. I made all kinds of money. I'm responsible,
Yeah.
paying my bills. Therefore, another excuse,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Chris, if someone would like to volunteer, are there things that they could do either with becoming part of the solution or with some of the other organizations that you work with, and how could they get involved?
Well, we have our 5K race every year, looking for volunteers for that every year. Again, it's the music events. People want to help me promote the calendars. That's great. If they want to volunteer, I know other organizations, people like CCAR, which is tremendous. They're a huge resource in the state. And actually, the fellow that is now the executive director of CCAR, he was also helpful at the beginning of Become Part of the Solution. He was extremely helpful. He was one of those volunteers at Rockville Hospital that was working with Smokey, and his name is Phil Valentine. So he's another one that would be huge. It's been involved with many people. So those are the ones I think of right off. Well, I would like to thank both of you for taking an interest in this,
Absolutely.
because, it's a blessing. We never know who's listening. We never know, or we might have an opportunity to help one of our brothers and sisters in need. The
Yeah.
need is there. So this is an opportunity to put a face on recovery, know there's help out there. I want to help. I know many people want to help. So
Yeah.
bless you both for taking interest in this.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
This has been the Good News Show. Our special guest today has been Chris Luginbuhl, founder of Become Part of the Solution. We're broadcasting via public access station, the Community Voice Channel in Bolton, Connecticut. The Good News Show airs twice a week, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Fridays at noon. All shows are available anytime on demand at Comcast Channel 1070 and on our website, cvcct.org. And our producer and co-host today is Monique Lucier. Melanie Merkel is our community outreach and training manager. Nick Levine is our executive director of the Community Voice Channel. I'm Ann Bonney, your co-host today. Thanks for watching the Good News Show.